Stephanie Levine. Thank you, Jody. Yeah, my name is Stephanie Levine. I'm a senior project manager with the Public Works Agency, and this is our final public meeting for the skate park project. We've had 5 public meetings. We've also had a number of meetings with an advisory group, and we've come a long way. We've come to a very specific design now that we think we've got everyone on board with, and that everyone feels good about. And Jody's going to walk us, Jody with Tesca Associates is going to walk us through a little bit of background on the process, and then we're going to take a look at this final design tonight and get your feedback once again. So Jody, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. I see that Michael's here. Michael, do you want to introduce yourself because you are a city staff member before we get into it?
Sure. Hello, Michael Callahan. I'm the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't realize you were there, Michael, but hello.
He just popped up. All right. So thank you all for joining us this evening. We are so excited to share this presentation with you this evening. We're going to go through a little bit of introductions. I recognize a bunch of names that are here this evening, but for anybody that's new, we are going to go from the beginning and share a little bit about us. We'll share a little bit about the history of the project and the goals and the timeline. We are going to share what we heard from public meeting number 4 in April, and then we're going to talk through the final concept presentation. We'll address some next steps and have time for some Q&A to hear your questions and comments. So you've heard from the City of Evanston team. As Stephanie mentioned, I'm Jody Mariano. I am a principal landscape architect with Tesca Associates. Tesca is a community planning and landscape architecture firm. We've been in Evanston since 1975. I have not been there that long. I just have been there for about 20 years. And I'm going to turn it to Heather to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Favor. I am a landscape architect and a senior associate at Tesca Associates.
Thanks, Heather. And we are also joined by a larger team. So we are working with Spone Ranch Skate Parks. Vince, you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Vince with Spone Ranch, co-owner of Spone Ranch and lead designer for the skateboard park, and Jody's future skateboard coach.
Yes, I love it. And then we also have on our team Christopher Burke Engineers, local civil, electrical, structural engineering firm who is supporting us with the engineering for the skate park. So we have been working with an advisory group. I recognize some advisory members on the meeting tonight, so we're so glad that you're here. Our advisory group is made up of local skaters, bikers, rollerbladers, local businesses, young and old. We've got some advisory group members who are raising the next generation of wheeled sports enthusiasts, so they are also parents. And we have been working with the advisory group to kind of help check us and help guide the park design as we have moved on through the process. The project got started before we were involved, but this is dating back to January of 2021. The city held a variety of meetings. They held some public surveying to kind of get arms around what and where this park wants to be. So, this has been going on since 2021. Tesca's team got started in the beginning of this year, where we started with 3 initial concept plans. We then whittled it down to 2 refined concepts after some input. And here we are tonight to share the outcomes of all of the input that we received and to share one final concept plan. After this evening, we'll be taking your input and we'll get busy working on construction documents. So that will be a time for us and our team to put together the construction document package that the city will then issue to publicly bid for construction work. The bidding and negotiations would roughly take place between September of this year and February of next year. And the goal is to have this construction begin in the spring of 2023. Construction likely would take the bulk of the summer and part of the fall, and we anticipate it would be complete by November of 2023. The skate park would then be open at that time, excuse me, and then we would come back in September of the following year to do a warranty review, just to confirm that all of the items that were installed are holding up to the elements, and if they needed to be addressed or fixed or repaired, they could be done during that time. So we've had a variety of meetings. We've met with the advisory group 4 times. We've met with the public 3 times just as part of this phase. So here we are with our final concept plan at the public meeting number 5. For those that aren't familiar, the goals set forth by City Council for this project are to construct an in-ground custom concrete skate park. It's located at the eastern end of Twiggs Park, and we'll show you some maps about the location. In addition to the skate park, there would be some additional park features that comes out of the engagement process. We heard a lot of information. We know that we are looking at other things like shade structure, site furniture, lighting, portable toilets, drinking fountain. There obviously needs to be a drainage system so the skate park is skatable shortly after it rains, pathways, signage, and landscaping. There are some existing park features at Twiggs Park today, and things like pathways and lighting, those would need to be modified slightly so they could accommodate the new skate park. There is an unstable and eroded embankment that runs along the North Shore Channel along the north side of the park. And so that is something that will also be addressed as part of this project. And then there is also a goal to plan for a future restroom facility. So our project site is here. We are at Twiggs Park. The North Shore Channel is running along the north side of this park here. So Green Bay Road is running along here. The Twiggs Park is one of many parks that's sort of this chain of green spaces that follows the North Shore Channel. It has a continuous bike path that runs through. We also have bike facilities at the Ladd Arboretum here on the other side of the channel. We have on-street bikeways at Noyes and Ashland. So it's a great location for a park. Came out of the earlier public process, but it's visible, it's accessible. It's part of an active series of green spaces. And so the proposed skate park is up here in this magenta color, located here at the northeast portion of the Twiggs Park. Looking closer in, here again is Green Bay Road, Ashland Avenue is here. And so we're looking roughly at this area here within magenta. The embankment that I mentioned earlier that's in rough shape along the North Shore Channel, it's sloping down here. It's all of this vegetation here. It's in, as I mentioned, it's in rough shape. The embankment is kind of falling apart in some places. We've got invasive species to address. So that is something that we're looking at as part of this project. We have a very large water line that runs through here. So this double dash line represents generally where the Northwest Water Commission easement is. And so we can't touch anything within that zone. We are working within this orange shape here for the skate park. We have a Gateway Plaza, that's kind of our entry. It's similar to the other entry plazas that we see around town at the park areas. We've got our bike path through here. Soccer field would stay, and then we've got small pathway with lighting and bike racks. Things within this area would need to be modified to accommodate the bike path, or the skate park, I mean. So what we heard during the public meeting, the last public meeting in April, we asked folks to rank some of their preferences when we were looking at 2 different concepts. And overwhelmingly, I would say throughout most of the project and the public meetings, the public kind of voted very similarly to the way the advisory group voted on things. And so we had a lot of continuity that way. Folks looked at 2 different bowl concepts. One that was an integrated bowl, kind of a closed bowl with a bonus area at the north, and one that was more of an open bowl with some features that kind of got you in a shallow section at the south. We had overwhelming preference for the C1, which is the closed bowl. And so that's what you'll see this evening, and Vince will kind of walk us through. We asked folks to rank 2 different identity features. one that represented flow, one that represented twigs, and we were at a stalemate, we were at a tie. Similarly, the advisory group was at a tie when it came to these things. So we are recommending the flow concept to move forward this evening, and we'll show you more about that. We asked about preferences for color palette. We were looking at the existing Hill Arts District banners for inspiration. And so we heard more support for the orange with the blue accents. And so we'll show you some imagery of what that looks like, but generally the orange would be an integrated concrete skate color in the concrete. It would be integrated into the surface. And the blue would be our accent color. That would be the steel edging that you would see at this things like the bowls and the other skatable features. One of the things that we talked a lot about at the last public meeting is how is this park going to operate? What is the lighting going to do, and when will the park be open? After some internal discussion, the decision by staff is to have the park hours extend from 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock in the evening. The lighting would be similar appearance to the lighting that we see out there today, security lighting. So as part of our construction documents, we will be running photometrics and locating specific locations for each of the light poles, just to make sure that we don't have dark spots and that we have good security lighting. But the anticipation is that the park would be closed at 9 o'clock. Some other things that we heard a request to widen the sidewalk along Green Bay Road, which is a really good comment considering that we have a bike path along Ladd Arboretum. And so that is something that we have incorporated into the design. We also heard about cultural identity features, in addition to a plaque that recognizes William H. Twiggs, to also consider other local skaters, historical folks that helped start the skating revolution in Evanston. And so that was something that we heard a little bit about. We heard about carbon cure concrete. We did do some research into carbon cure concrete. It's a costly thing, and we don't have 100% confidence that it is going to be holding up to the skate use that happens at the park. So it's unlikely that this will be considered for the skate park. We also heard a lot of great information about the types of features that people would like. You guys all certainly didn't disappoint when it came to specifics regarding the features. And so Vince is going to talk through some of these things, but we heard about the bowl, that there shouldn't be any roll-in features. We heard some requests to reduce the length of stairs. We heard about the types of grind edges that people would like to see on the mani pad. We made a little bit of a revision at the sculptural concrete feature at the north that Vince is going to talk through. And also we heard about things like the wall ride, which I think Vince has also incorporated into that concrete feature at the north of the park. So some imagery, I think most of you have probably seen this before if you have been to our previous meetings, but we know that our bowls would have a medium and a shallow section. That's what was requested earlier on. Would have a steel coping like you see on the right. We would have low and wide ledges with a grind ledge and a mani pad. We'd have a variety of rails. Vince will talk through some of these. Vince, chime in if there's anything you want to say here.
Nope, you're nailing it.
Steps and ramps, steps will be straight. They won't be curved. We include street style features was requested. Something that's unique about the Evanston Skate Park that separates it, we think, from other ones is having a nice welcoming entry and safe spaces for spectators. And so it won't look like this image on the bottom, but that image kind of helped bring out that comment, and we're excited about that element of the skate park. Wedges and ramps, A-frames would be included, or an A-frame will be included. And then shade structures. We talked about solar shade structures. We also talked about shade structures that are just cantilevered without the solar component. So we know that there will be a shade structure out there. We're looking at both options depending on how our budget works out. The shade structure that is solar is, of course, more expensive. And so we are keeping both of these as potential options. There will be portable toilets as part of the initial skate park installation. The restroom facility would come at a much later date. But the portable toilets are kind of unsightly. And so there would be a enclosure that would basically look like a tall fence to wrap around 3 sides of the portable toilets. We have Evanston standard furnishings. They're here. These are things that are throughout Evanston's other parks. So we've got the lighting that I mentioned, also bike racks, of course, the drinking fountain that has a pet bowl and a bottle filler, trash and recycling, and bike racks. We also spent a lot of time at our April meeting talking about furnishings. So we heard about furnishings that are skatable and furnishings that are not skatable, and incorporating some non-skatable features was something that was requested. So the items on the right are precast concrete benches with protective steel edging. There would be a couple of locations for these, or we call them seat walls, that people could sit on adjacent to the skate park. They could also be skatable features. But we heard in April that people wanted to also have places for people to sit and rest if they wanted to be maybe not so close to the park, but still kind of in a viewable distance. And so some traditional picnic tables and benches are shown here on the left. We also heard about repair stations. So we're looking at a skateboard repair station that's shown here on the left. It's got tools to fix your skateboard. And also on the right, a bike pump and repair station. So we can do the same with repairing bicycles. As far as color and character goes, the integrated concrete color is shown at the left. Again, we were looking at the orange with the blue accents. So the orange would be our integrated color in the surface, and the blue accent would be our steel coping. The embankment, I'll talk a little bit about landscaping. So here's an image on the left of the embankment. As you can see, the parts of the slope are starting to kind of slump and scarp away. We've got a lot of invasives, trees that have fallen and have broken the fence. And so part of this project will be to clean up this whole area within our park site. So everything within yellow dashed line would basically remove all the invasives, protect the good quality trees, reconstruct the slope, and then replant the new slope with native flowering landscape materials. And so an image of what that could look like is here on the right. This is a project in North Lake, but this could be achieved with a very simple seed mix, good maintenance, to get us some flowering natives and a much more pleasant view from the skate park into the channel. We also will have landscape plantings surrounding the skate park. We heard a lot of comments about wanting to have more native plantings where we can, and do our best to kind of be sustainable. So we talked about the embankment plantings on the left, rain gardens at the top, where the site allows, where drainage patterns allow, we can have depressions to support water loving rain garden materials. And then also just adjacent to the pathways where we have space for it, native plantings that are, generally low enough that they provide good views and clear spaces near the skate park, but a good way to replace lawn with something more native. Flow, so this is the thematic identity that we are recommending as part of the final plan. Flow represents the flow of the skate park. Also, Evanston is a lakefront community. Vince mentioned earlier, water's flowing through the channel, so there's a flow all over the place, but seat walls could be curvilinear, like this here on the left, and also wavy patterns that show the integrated concrete color on the right. We heard about cultural identity from folks in the neighborhood, and we were so happy that people kind of brought this to our attention, but William Twiggs is the namesake for Twiggs Park, and he was a prominent African-American Evanstonian who was a local barber. He was a printer, well published. He was publishing and distributing publications throughout Evanston, throughout the nation, very involved with the city of Evanston. He had jobs at the city. He also was active in local churches and schools. And so the intent is to provide a simple signage plaque that tells some of that story, so people know, what he was about, and that could look similar to this plaque that's here at Arrington Lagoons, the east side of town. Okay, I am going to turn it over to Heather to walk you through the site layout, and then we'll delve into the skate park. Heather?
All right. So here we are, our final site plan for the skate park. Jody's talked about a lot of the elements, so this is how it all comes together. Moving from the East Plaza, that's the existing entry plaza of the park that is to remain. The bike path is reoriented to dip south, and it lines up with the existing entrance, and that gives us plenty of space north of the bike path for the skate park. And for some different amenities for the skate park, we have bike racks, a drinking fountain, picnic tables, and the different repair station elements in this first entry area. And opposite the entry area from the bike path, we have seating areas. This is where we would have the more standard benches for people to sit on and spectate from a further distance. And then just to the right of those benches is a place where we're leaving a spot for a plaque or memorial stone for William H. Twiggs. In the skate park, we have the shade structure, which we've discussed. And then at the other entrance to the skate park that lines up, that lines up more with the parking lot. We have another set of benches. And then this entry area from the parking lot is where we've located the portable toilets that will have an enclosure. And then there are more bike racks along the bike path. Did I get everything? Oh, and then of course we have native planting areas as well. So those are in the darker green is where we could have pollinator native seed mix distributed, and then we can have more plantings also near the entrance of the skate park as well.
Do you want to talk about
Oh, of course. So you'll see along the sidewalk, the dashed line is the existing sidewalk, and then with the solid line is how we could expand it to 8 feet. And that would take us, get us an 8-foot wide path to connect to the existing bike facility at the other side of North Shore Channel at Ladd Arboretum. So 8 feet is the existing width of the bridge path. So just meeting that width gives us enough space to then connect to the bike path system in Twiggs Park.
Thank you. All right, let's get to the skate park. So Vince.
Yeah, I'll just say it's looking really good. I've said this over and over again, but I love the entry area and how big it is and how spacious. So really excited about that. So yeah, here we have a high level overview of some of the criteria that we looked at when designing the skate park. We went over this last time, so I won't go into too much detail here, but we're looking at roughly 10,000 square feet. We want to create something that is not just a rectangle, a little bit more of an interesting shape, both from an aesthetic and flow perspective. We're looking at a street to transition ratio of roughly 50-50. It's not an exact science, but I think we're pretty close. We wanted a zone in the skate park that was geared towards beginner riders who are sometimes left out of the skate park design equation. So I think we've achieved that here. And then for various reasons, including drainage, the skate park is going to have to be primarily above grade. So that's really just a grading and drainage note. And then on the right here, we have some key elements, some check boxes we were trying to check when creating the terrain. And I think we have checked all of these. So I think folks will be very happy with that. All right. This has not changed much since last time, but if you're new, we essentially have 4 zones to the skate park design. Zone 1 is kind of our beginner area. Zone 2 is our intermediate street area. Zone 3 is what we're calling the intermediate to advanced bowl area section zone. And then zone 4 kind of shaped up naturally, wasn't planned for. But is a nice beginner zone with kind of a beginner mini half pipe that's 2 feet tall, and I think folks are really going to like, especially obviously beginner riders. And what's cool about breaking it up into zones is that it's going to function well for the 2 types of sessions. So You've got your Saturday afternoon session where the skate park's gonna be very, very crowded. Could have as many as 50 people in here at one time. Having distinct zones is going to help create a sense of order and control to the craziness of all the traffic in the skate park. So you can kind of just stick to your zone without feeling like you're going to slam into someone going a different way. But on that kind of Tuesday morning session, as we call it, when it's just you or just you and a buddy, obviously everything is still interconnected and you can still flow freely from one zone to the other. So the skate park is very, very flowy, and there are obviously no dead ends anywhere. So we definitely tried to work on that. You want to go to the next one?
While we're here, there was a question that came through the chat
Oh.
about the beginner zone. Is there a micro mini ramp was a question. I think in zone 4,
Yeah.
there is a micro mini ramp. You want to just explain that a little?
Yeah, I mean, every feature in the skate park and skateboarding world can be called like 20 different things. So I think when you say micro, mini, yeah, it's mini half pipe, mini ramp. Yeah, we do have that, which is kind of that zone 4 at the top right there.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the final concept that we're very excited about. Do you want to go back one?
Yeah.
To the label one? Yeah. Yeah, and it hasn't changed too much since we last showed it to you guys, but if you're new, yeah, so we've got a quarter pipe on the west end, which leads into a number of different street elements in the center. Then we step up to an elevated section that has our bowl, which has a 4-foot section, and then a 6-foot section. Sorry, I'm moving quickly, Jody. Yep, that's the 6-foot section. And at the bottom is the 4-foot section. So it's a 4 to 6 bowl. And then as you can see, we got a bunch of really nice spectator seating and seat wall all the way around the skate park. So it's going to be far more than just a skate park. It's a great site, and with the expansive entry plaza and ample spectator seating, it's really going to become a community space. This is going to be a space where even if you don't skate or ride a bike or scooter, you can come here and just hang out, watch, and enjoy the activity. So I love that about this site and this space. Yeah, so let me just highlight a couple of things that changed since last time for our diehards who've been following the details. Starting on the left-hand side, that quarter pipe extension got a little bit wider. It was feeling a little bit too narrow. I wanted to make sure it was tall enough to give you enough speed to hit the obstacles in the middle. The hubba ledge was hollow underneath. We made that solid, which we had some consensus on from some of the users in the past meetings. Just mentally, they liked it better if it was solid underneath, which I got. The steps. We had heard that the steps at Deerfield were a little bit too long, so we tweaked the layout of those steps so they're a little shorter. Still ample run up, way more run up than we have at Deerfield. So I don't think it would have been a major issue either way, but the feedback was taken nonetheless, and I think we've got a really nice set of stairs now. And then I think lastly, we had in kind of the upper right corner, we had kind of this triangular sculptural embankment feature. People weren't loving that. So we heard some feedback about changing that to a slanted wall or a wall ride similar to the Chase Plaza in downtown Chicago. So we've done that. And I'm really liking how that turned out and how that flows into and out of kind of the hip on the quarter pipe adjacent to it. So that's a nice addition there. And I think that is pretty much it. And then beyond that, yeah, obviously, as you can see, we've added some nice colored concrete with flow pattern. The entry area has changed a fair bit. And yeah, it's just feeling very spacious and very inviting. So I really like that. Yeah, other than that, the design has stayed pretty much consistent since the last couple of meetings. So we're definitely headed in the right direction and looking forward to move into the next phase, barring any final tweaks and comments from you guys. Maybe Jody, I want to highlight a couple other views. So this is a bird's eye plan view here. This is looking, I will never get this, west.
Northwest, I labeled it for you.
Oh, I can't read either. I can't read, nor do I know directions. I'm only good at designing skate parks. Yep. So yeah, here you can see, you know, the spectator seating that we've added. We had heard some comments that some of the seating, while great, was a little too close to the action. So we've got some that's now, you know, separated a bit with a bit of a buffer zone. So I think that's a nice addition. And then this is looking south. You can see the bowl really nice here. So 4 to 6 foot bowl, 2 square ends, which is really nice for pumping around those corners. And both of them in essence are kind of mini half pipes because they've got that parallel straight wall there. But there's more to it than that. Obviously you got some nice hips, transfer lines, and pockets and whatnot. So yeah, it should be really, really fun. All right, and then this is looking northeast, kind of ground level as you enter there. And here you can see we got that nice beginner feature where if you don't feel comfortable dropping in on coping, you got a nice embankment that you can roll down and make your way into kind of the beginner street zone.
Did you have anything else to add before I wrap it up and we take some questions?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right, so short and sweet this evening, but as we mentioned earlier, our next steps are to take the feedback that we hear tonight and move into construction documentation. So as we kind of mentioned in earlier meetings, the team's going to kind of, go dark, so to speak, and get busy, working internally with each other and with staff to document the details of this so we can get a good bid package prepared that the city then can issue for public bids. The project website is always a great place to look for updates. But with that, I see that there's already some questions. So thank you for your time to listen to the presentation this evening, and let's just go right to questions. Heather, do you want to read the questions and we
Sure.
can kind of distribute?
Yeah, so the first question came in from someone anonymous, asking about quad skaters. Is it possible for quad skaters to have an area or opportunity to skate since we don't have a roller skating rink in the area? I don't know how that type of wheel is different from other wheels, but Vince, do you think quad skaters are accommodated with this site plan, with the skate park plan?
Yeah, I'm seeing the skate parks I go to, on a weekly basis. I'm seeing more and more roller skaters and inline skaters, quad skaters. It's definitely increasing in popularity, which is really cool to see, and just shows how diverse modern skate parks are. So I think a quad skater wouldn't be prevented from using this facility. They could definitely use it, but as far as a dedicated area specific to quad skating, no, we weren't able to accommodate that. Obviously, we have only 10,000 square feet to work with and a number of constraints, including a budgetary constraint. So we weren't able to do it all and just have large expansive areas dedicated to things like quad skating. But I think it's a good thought for the future for other locations. I think Evanston is a large enough city with a large enough user base that they could accommodate more than just one skate park and future skateboarding and wheel sport spaces. So yeah, I think that's a comment for us to definitely record and for us to get with the city on for future planning.
Thanks. The next question is from Gabrielle Weiss. Is the platform wide enough between the deep end of the bowl and the mini ramp bonus spot for both to be used at the same time? Dueling rock to fakies?
Yes, yeah, it's about 6 feet wide if memory serves me correctly. A typical deck is like 4 feet. So yeah, definitely made it more spacious than a typical deck. So people can hang out facing either way without feeling like they're in each other's way. And yeah, I definitely envision some great dueling rock fakies here.
Wait a minute, I got to ask about that now. I didn't know that one.
Rock fakie. Yeah, it's basically like you roll up to the coping on your skateboard. You get your front truck and set of wheels over the coping. You hang out for a second, and then you dip back down and ride down backwards, which is called fakie. So basically, they're saying like, yeah, like a dueling piano bar. Like you'd have one person in the bowl come up, do a rock, basically where like they're hanging on the edge of the coping, and someone in the mini half pipe come, and then they're both like hanging out at the same time, and then go back in their respective areas.
That's awesome. So that's for the hubba ledge and the grind rail or the mani pad?
No, that's kind of the deep end of the bowl, and then the mini half pipe zone.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay,
We'll need a demonstration.
Most definitely.
there's a couple more questions and then a comment on here, and then maybe we can do the hand raising.
Yeah.
Question. I am wondering where we landed on the edging for the mani pad. Is the plan for a slappy sidewall or right angle?
Yeah, that's something we will continue to look at as we move into the construction documents phase. That is the phase of the project where we really look at those kinds of details in the construction details. So I don't think we have a final answer on that just yet, but as of now, I'm leaning towards a slappy edge just because we've got some more traditional edges elsewhere in the skate park. So for the sake of variety, I'm thinking of leaving it as is, like a slappy curve.
And I think that's consistent with what we heard in the earlier polls. We had hundreds of comments about wanting a slappy edge, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Will the hubba be in line with the top of the bank, or since the bank is angled, will there be a gap? I'd rather have no gap. Is that what we spoke about earlier?
No, that's something different. So
Okay.
previously, folks didn't want it hollow underneath, which we've changed. Yep, that's the hubba ledge. Because the bank is angled, on one side, there's a slight gap, but it is something I thought of myself as I was laying this out, because when I'm skating a hubba ledge, I don't like to have to gap out. It kind of just messes with you mentally. So I definitely understand the comment. I feel where they're coming from. By nature of the angle bank, we're going to have a little bit of a gap just on one side. On the other side is no gap, and we'll do our best to minimize that as we kind of finalize all the dimensions and details.
Okay. Here's a comment. It seems like the picnic tables are really close to the curved ledge under the shade structure. We've been treating that edge more as seating, so I think that partly explains it. It's kind of set off from the main skate park, and it really is intended to be a seating area, but is built to be skate proof, if that explains that well.
Yep, I would 100% agree with that. Yeah, we can't make every ledge and wall in the skate park intentionally highly functional for skating. Some of them have to function for seating, and it just is what it is. So I get that. Yeah, coming off of that one edge, you may get a little close to those picnic tables, but you got, hundreds of feet of other ledge elsewhere in the skate park to ride. So I'm confident it won't be too much of an issue.
Can I jump in about the edges? Because I feel like we should clarify that, the renderings show, well, maybe it's here. the renderings show sort of these copings, you know, kind of on all sides of the benches, but they really would only happen on the skatable edge, correct? The skatable side.
Mhm.
And
Correct,
so,
yeah.
you know, we're showing it here, but as Heather mentioned, the intent is that this would not be a skatable feature. And so we're looking at other kinds of seat elements in response to what we heard at the last meeting.
Here's a comment that I think we've answered in the past couple meetings, but please state how the team and the city will ensure that the quality of the build will match this high quality design, as only the best execution of the design by a highly qualified builder will result in the most useful skate park. Thank you for recognizing Carl McCullough, forefather of Evanston skateboarding, as a member of the Tom Thumb skateboard team. We have pictures of him for your signage if possible. Thank you. And that's from Michael Hoff of Evanston Skates.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Please send whatever you have. If you have Stephanie Levine's email, I'm just going to offer it. Please send it along because we would love to know more about those things. And regarding the question about how will we maintain the high quality of the skate park, I can start and Stephanie can chime in, but what the city has been doing on other specialty type projects like this is to have a qualifications process built into the bid documents that requires contractors to demonstrate that they have experience building things like this. And so typically, you know, what we will do is we will check references, we will go out and take a look at these places, we'll talk to the municipalities or the park districts that have commissioned these projects just to verify that the work that these contractors have done meet the standards, the high quality standards that we're looking for. So that qualifications process being built into the bid documents is one way that we've been able to manage that sort of thing. I don't know, Stephanie, if you have anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, sure. We're going to pre-qualify. We're going to do what's called a pre-qualification process. So we're going to prove, or make contractors prove their abilities and capabilities. And then only those contractors that meet those qualifications will be allowed to bid on the job. Nobody else will be allowed to. So we won't enter the bidding process with unknowns like that, because we are aware that this is very important, and we only get one chance to get this right. So thanks for that comment, and we are doing our best to think through that.
Thank you.
There are no more questions written in the chat or the Q&A function. So I don't know how you guys want to proceed, if you want to keep typing them in, or we can do raise hands.
We could do raise hands, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think I see one raised hand presently with Michael. I'm not sure how to.
I got it.
Okay, we're gonna unmute you.
Michael, can you
go
unmute
ahead.
yourself? Michael Hoff, do you want to unmute yourself? It looks like you're muted. Try unmuting yourself one more time. There you go.
Don't have the best connection, sorry.
Is Michael Hoff still here?
Sounded like he got cut off
From
his Wi-Fi.
Oh, maybe. Well, we can always come back to Michael, Michael Hoff, if you're able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, we can't hear you. I think you're probably trying to communicate, but we can't hear you. I'm sorry. If you can't sort through that, yeah, okay. EV Center Wi-Fi, sorry.
Oh,
Well,
well,
if you can type your question or your comment, we would, yeah, perfect.
Levy Center Wi-Fi, just wanted to say.
Well, maybe while you're thinking through that, the next person I see with a raised hand is Eric Pitt.
I don't see, oh, here. All right, Eric, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I think so. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. I want to go back around to the picnic tables that are there. Would it be possible to just have the one picnic table so that that little tiny ledge that's covered by the shade structure can be better skated without fear of somebody's bags sitting there?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can certainly take a look at it. We are anticipating that this would not be a skatable feature. But if the concern is, that, still people are going to be skating in this area and, this picnic table is, kind of close to the general area, we're happy to take a closer look at that during design. It's a great comment.
Yes, so I thought in earlier designs that was going to be skatable on like that Tuesday morning sessions, that the whole park, when it's not crowded, would be widely available. I'd love for that big long curved ledge to be skatable.
Yeah, I think we had, last time we met, we had heard a desire for picnic tables at the site. And so I think this is our attempt to try to accommodate that request. But I agree that there's probably a likelihood, even if we don't make it quote unquote skatable, that it will become skatable. It's going to be skatable. So I think we should take a look at that. I think it's a fair comment about the placement of the tables, or do we need two tables and etc. So I think we should take a look at that.
The one table, if you only had the one, I think it would be nice. It breaks up, where the entry and the beginning of the park is, but that second table is way too close to that. And I think that's got to be a skatable object. That's too nice a long curve. It's got a mellow kick to it. That's got to be skatable.
Thank you, Eric. We appreciate it.
That's it. Thanks. I think this is great. I've been on, all the calls, as you guys know, so I really appreciate it. I'm happy to see it moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
Perhaps we can just rotate them around that curve a little bit so that they're closer to the sidewalk, but we maintain two picnic tables. Because I'd actually like to see more seating like that rather than less.
Yeah, I agree. We can look at that for sure.
Yeah, we can definitely. I see Patrick has his hand up. Patrick, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So just the piggybacking off of what Eric was saying, the ledge is going to end up being skated, whether it has coping or not. And if the coping's there, it'll last a little bit longer. It'll look nicer. I do agree with Laura. The idea of the picnic tables is awesome. I'm just picturing also like boards coming flying off of the end of the ledge and like a kid sitting at that picnic table. Just knowing how boards, people lose track of them as they're kicking out or they're falling, and you can't always prevent where it goes. So I just don't want somebody to get nailed in the back of the leg or hit, or some kid getting taken out by a board coming flying in right there. They're sitting at that table thinking it's safe.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate that, Patrick. It's a good comment. We'll be sure to take a look at that.
And of course, you guys know me at this point. I am super appreciative. I'm super excited about this. And my big guy has been practicing riding his big boy bike and his skateboard in order to prepare for this.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm scrolling. I don't see. Are there any other hands raised? Any other questions?
I do see a comment about from Matt. Could one of the picnic tables be placed in a grassy area? So,
so generally with picnic tables, we need to make them accessible. So we like to, in order to accommodate that, we have to have them at, surrounded by paved surfaces. That said, it's also easier for maintenance, people to mow around them. So we generally try to keep them on some sort of paved surface. Stephanie, do you have anything you want to add to that?
no, I think that's a fair comment, that we do try to do that for accessibility.
Yeah. but thank you for asking. Any other? Eric has his hand up. I don't know if it's a leftover hand raised.
Oops, sorry about that. I forgot.
That's okay. Just checking.
Nope, we're good.
Any other questions? Have we gotten through all of the? Michael Hoff has his hand raised. Michael, do you want to unmute yourself? I think he's still dealing with the Wi-Fi at the Levy Center.
He wrote some things into the chat that I could read. On behalf of Jerry Reed, founder of ETHS Skate Club. He had an event tonight, but he wanted to say thank you for everything you've done to progress the process of the park. And then he says thank you to the city staff and Bobby Burns for supporting skateboarding and advising the SAC, and thank you for including the action sports community in this process.
Thank you. That's very nice. Thanks for that comment. Any other comments, questions? I see Michael Hoff has a comment in here. I can read it. I'm sorry, Michael, we haven't been able to hear your voice, but it says, Michael Hoff says, from me, thanks to the city staff and Bobby Burns. Is this the same one that you just read?
Yeah.
Oh.
It is.
Thank
It
you.
was
I
so
thought that was
good,
from
it
somebody
probably-
else.
It's so good though. We should probably read it again.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. 3 new message, super excited. Thanks for all your hard work. Thank you, Juan.
And I'll introduce myself because I was late due to several computer problems that kept me from logging in appropriately on time. And I apologize for that. My name is Laura Biggs. I'm the city engineer. And a lot of credit goes to the skating group, several of the members who served on the strategic advisory committee for this project. I feel like without that group, our consultants would not have been nearly as effective. And we just really appreciate all of the assistance. And I think these public meetings where we reach a wider group of skaters, as well as some of the neighborhood residents, we really appreciate everybody's support and comments. I think all of this goes to making a much better park. So thank you all for the time and effort. I know that how attending a public meeting that's sponsored by the city of Evanston on a Tuesday night is not really anybody's idea of a good time. Very much appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Laura. We're so glad you made it. I see another hand raised. Patrick had his hand raised. Patrick, do you want to unmute?
Sorry, I was staring at the overview again, and one thing that I've been meaning to ask Vince about that I forgot to ask. So over by the banked wall, the blue, is that a like parking block? Is it a small ledge? Is it a rail?
This here?
Is it like a pole jam into a rail? I was just trying to like see it from a distance and anticipate what that was.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of all three. There's no pole jam to it on the front and the back, but it's basically like a skinny ledge, right? I think it's like 8 inches wide on top, and then the sides are slightly slanted, just very slightly. Does that answer your question?
Yep. It's like a taller parking block, a taller grindable parking block with slightly more slanted leg. Okay, that's what I anticipated. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't not asking a question if I didn't understand something. Cool.
Yep.
Appreciate you. I
Thanks,
also think
Patrick.
for our next meeting, Vince, you should bring back the hat from your headshot.
I will dig it up. No problem.
It's a good hat. I don't see any other hands raised. Any other questions or comments?
How late in the evening will lights be on? 9 p.m. I think is the park closing time,
Well,
Stephanie?
that's the closing time. Our security lights in parks are on all night. You'll be they're dusk to dawn operation.
Okay.
I think that's it, Jody.
I think so too. I'm writing quickly, but yes, well, thank you all. I'm just going to kind of scroll back to this last slide here if anybody wants to snap to the project website. But again, thank you so much for participating in this. And I think I recognize so many names from the advisory group and the other meetings. We appreciate all of your guidance. Just like Laura said, we certainly couldn't have done this without your help. There's more to come. So as we move forward with construction document preparation, stay tuned to the project website for updates. There's a spot in there if you have questions, staff can address your questions. But with that, I'll turn it back over to the city. Laura, Stephanie, if you have anything you want to add in closing.
Just thanks to everyone for, working with us through this process. It's been a lot of work and a lot of time commitment for all of you folks. And I think it has made a huge difference, and it's going to continue to make a difference in delivering a product that everyone can be proud of and everyone is going to have a lot of fun at. So thanks again, and stay tuned, and we look forward to bringing this to you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
You.